Well, hi everyone. Great to be here. I'm Roop Lutchmann. I'm very passionate about management consulting and asset management. I really believe what we do should make a difference to the community and the people that are served by the community. And asset management is one of the biggest mover and driver in this area. I've spent the past 25 years in consulting, implementing asset management programs, and the last 14 years before that in the actual industry in oil and gas and many, many different areas. And I hope that, the ideas and concepts and my experience I've shared today really helps you, if you're already doing a program, helps you realign it and you could get some more value. If you thinking about a program, I'm hoping that these ideas will really give you the rationale and the business case to get moving with it. And I hope you enjoy your conference. Thank you very much. To me, if I look back at the folks who kind of kicked this off without any sort of motivation like regulation saying thou shalt do asset management and all that. They just thought it was a really good thing, and they've seen that in spades, so to speak. So absolutely, and it's quite interesting that you bring that up. My experience-wise is much less in the industrial and manufacturing sector compared to municipal on asset management, is because first of all, nobody out there really had that as a high priority. So I didn't see any programs that I could work on.
Right.
And then when I do worked with some of the manufacturing groups and industrial groups, the programs were so poor, I was very surprised because I always thought manufacturing was the leading edge in terms of, technology and new equipment and all kind of cool strategies. And then I was very surprised at the lack of structure and rigor around the asset management concepts. And I think that's changing, just in your case in CGen, there's a lot of recognition now that this could be important, especially if it's framed, this could really help your bottom line because it could reduce your costs in the short term, but it could help you reduce the overall cost of ownership of the assets that you use to deliver widgets, or if you were creating a service or something like that, production and service. And there's that realization taking place. The big challenge I see with the manufacturing sector, there are two types of asset classes that needs to be managed. There's the more passive one, like the buildings that house your production facilities, the utilities, the grounds, the car park, and all the support, ancillary water, wastewater disposal and treatment. To me, those are more passive support type stuff. And then they tend to be long-lived. They tend to be, 25, 50, 100 years buildings and underground infrastructure like storm sewers and pipes. And then you have the short-lived assets, like your production lines, your conveyor belts, your packaging equipment, and they tend to be high pace. And within maybe a 5-year cycle, you got to do something about it, either upgrade it or replace it or whatever. And usually the focus tends to be on the high-pace assets. And primarily the focus is how do we maintain it and ensure continuity of the production lines and all that stuff. So that's how I see asset management. And then the other piece, all the other stuff that the passive assets, the long-lived assets, is forgotten. And it's reactive and they just throw money at it. That's what I see out there. So the value in in asset management for these enterprises is significant. It's enormous. If your buildings are reliable, if a roof starts leaking over a production facility's manufacturing line, is going to shut down the line, and the line is perfect. Nothing wrong with the line. So those are the things that I think you need to look at. And you have to look at asset management on those two streams and how do you really deal with it. However, having said that, the fundamentals of asset management, which I would say you asked earlier, what's the definition of asset management? It's to ensure continuity of service, reliable service at the lowest cost of ownership. And really what everybody should be doing is balancing the level of service or the level of production, and with that quality and all that, with the cost of service and cost of production and the risk that you take on. So if you have a lot of money, you can have redundancy in every line. You could have go in and change a roof every 5 years. You never see a leak. But you can't do that. It's not realistic and not cost effective to do that. So you try to find the right balance by taking on a certain amount of risk, but quantifying it so you know what's the risk you're taking on and what the risk cost you're holding, quantifying the cost of service, and quantifying the level of service or the level of production. That's essentially what people do in asset management. And then under that, you'll have your policy and strategies. And, it's how do you do capital planning, risk-based capital planning? How do you do risk-based operations and maintenance? How do you do performance management and dashboards that are strategic, tactical, and operational? All that stuff just falls out naturally. And what you find is a lot of the practices you currently do are still part of asset management. This is not new stuff. It's just you do more of the right things and less of the things that are not effective or redundant. And then you leverage the right technology enablers like Industry 4.0. You may, for example, if you look at, besides all the automation and robotics and all that goes with the production line, one of the big advancements on Industry 4.0, and maybe we should be talking about Industry 5.0, where you merge in reality with the technology and the people. Where this is going is that the people who operate the lines, maintain the production lines, would be leveraging, the metaverse and all these VR sets like HoloLens and Quest 1, 2 from Facebook and Microsoft's HoloLens, and Apple is getting into the act, and because your people might be able to look at your asset in virtual reality and plan out the job before shutting down the line to figure out what's going on. Also, you could have people there on site, and somebody who's provided more expert who may not be on site could be part of them virtually, giving them advice and direction wise they operate or maintain or troubleshoot something. To me, that's what's going to make a big difference from the Industry 4.0, 5.0. The other piece where it's related not to the people, but to the asset, is where the assets are smart now, where every asset has their own CPU, they're tracking their own diagnostics, they're saying, hey, here's something coming up, it's an alarm, I'll alert you, here's a fault. When you walk through the plant, it's sending you info. I'm ready for my PM in the next preventive maintenance in the next 2 weeks or next month. Or here you need to be stocking up on spare inventory items because your next big overhaul is coming up. So the assets are getting smart. You mentioned advances in materials technology like self-healing. If it's the metal, they have a crack, they're self-healing. All those things impact the tactical operational piece. But that introduces another level of complexity, because if your assets are becoming smarter and more technologically advanced, then the maintenance program for those have to catch up and get up to speed with these assets. You have to train your staff how to use these assets. You have to relook at your maintenance reliability and replacement and operational spares, MRO spares, to support that new type of infrastructure assets that's going to be in place. So there's quite a lot of things that need to work together to make sure you have the right reliable assets, you extend the life, you get the most out of it in a cost-effective manner, and understand the risks that you're taking on.